This model is given by Lewin, and this is all about that what are the forces that actually compel the organizations to change its organization structure. We already discussed many of the things, majority of the things in our initial lecture, but still we have to cover many of things in this model. According to the Curd force field analysis model, there are two different types of forces we have outside of the organization. The first one we have is driving force, and the next one is restraining force. If you look at the diagram of in on your screen, you can see there are two different types of the force. Driving force, which basically compel you to bring some kind of a change, or to bring or to change some kind of a policies in the order to welcome the change. Well, similarly, at the same time, there are some factors, some forces which opposed you and which resist you to welcome the change. Let's see what kind of these driving forces or restraining forces we have in this model. If you see step 1, we have some kind of a drivers. We already discussed the model of the pestle. The pestle is basically the combination of politics, economic, society, technology, and the legal. This pestle is some of the external factors or some of external forces which actually motivate or which actually compel the organizations to change some kind of its policies or the structures or do whatever they want, but you have to welcome the change because you have no other option but to accept the change. What is pestle? Basically, pestle is an analysis. It's like a strategic framework commonly used to evaluate the business environment in which firms or the business is operating. So traditionally, the framework was referred to as a pest, but we have one more addition in this model is legal factors. Let's see one by one what are these factors. The first one we have political factors. If you look at the screen, here we have the political factors. If I speak broadly, political factors are those driven by government actions and the policies. For example, corporate taxations, other fiscal policies, free trade disputes, and all these stuff. It's worth noting that even overhang of the potential trade disputes or can present the material risk and the opportunities. Sometimes all these political factors can be beneficial for the organization, and sometimes it can harm the organization structure as well. So political factors like a multinational companies close several facilities, higher taxes in the order to relocate operations somewhere. If I talk about the Pakistan, you can see the political uncertainty. For example, maybe next week if Imran Khan called a protest, now you can see its impact on the organizations. The organization doesn't matter they like or dislike, but they have to change the policy of the organization, the way they are operating their daily basis routine. They need to change their daily pattern of their operations. So this is the way their protest, their or the country political situations compels the organizations to do whatever you want, but you need to bring some kind of a change in their policies. Are you guys getting my point? We already discussed in so many times about these factors. The next factors we have economic factors. Economic factors relate to the broader economy and tend to be expressed financially in nature. Like for example, interest rates, employees rates, inflation, or the exchange rates. All these comes under the headings of the economics, which is which is the main concern of the of that model and the pestle analysis. If I talk about the economic factor example based, actually where we are in the economic cycles and what treasury yields are doing, and equity research analysis, all these stuffs, whatever the tax rates or whatever the employment rate, whatever the demand rates inside the organization, all these factors play a significant role or impact the organization's structure. Not only a structure, but they have a significant influence on the organization profitability. Another factor, which is known as society. If we talk about the societal factors tend to be more difficult to observe as compared to economic ones, but they refer to shift or evaluation in the way that stakeholders approach the life and the layer, which in turn can impact commercial activities of the business. If we take that, what is the time and how people behave in that society. If you ask somebody in our society that you have to work for let's say 10 hours, maybe they don't have any issue. But if you ask someone who is living in other society, maybe they have different kind of issues. If you ask people who are living in a village that you have to work for 10 hours, they won't accept your offer, because they spend more of the time in gossiping around, or they love to spend their life, or they love leisure time. So this is the nature, you can say, which actually practicing in the society, and this impact on the organization. If you are operating in such kind of societies, you have to research about the nature of the public, about their spending time, their leisure time. You have to think about, you have to put concentration on all these factors, because all these factors eventually playing or has a significant influence on the organizations. Whatever you are doing in that society, you have to deal it, or you have to deal with these people according to the circumstances. So next, if we talk about the technology is the another factor that play, or of course they play a significant role on the organization. So management don't have other options but to update their technologies. Like if you remember, once I give you an example of the Nokia. Once Nokia said, if we don't update our technology within a 6 month, we will we not only at a survival position, but we will be out of the market, and you can hardly listen the name of the Nokia. All these factories, all these organizations who are operating in that competency market, they don't have other options but to update themselves according to the situations, according to the demand of the public. As you can see, the technology is updating on not only a daily basis but on a monthly basis. So you have to change your pattern of doing your business according to the updation of technology. So again, this is the factor which basically playing a driving force that actually allow the organization to do or to bring some kind of a change. The next and the last factor of the pest analysis is the legal factor. Now, if I talk about the legal factors are those that emerge from change to the regulatory environment, may affect the broader economy, certain industries, the area where you are operating. Their legal factor can influence your business. If we take an example of wine, you can't carry 2 bottles in that society. Why? Because this is if you carry 2 or more bottles, it will be illegal in that society. This is just an example that you have to follow the legal policies of that area where you are operating, where you are doing your businesses. So the legal or legislations of that area is a factor that can influence that can allow you, that can force you to change the structure, to change the policy, to change the dealing of your business with the customer. As we already discussed, that change is a natural thing. You can't avoid yourself from the change. Change can be positive and the negative. This is a separate discussions, but we just are talking about the change. Change is the only thing that will happen. Doesn't matter you like or dislike, because it's a natural process. So pest analysis are those analysis that we can use to observe whatever what kind of a changing happening, or what kind of a changing coming in future, and that can impact our organization. So in that model, the pestle, we are considering it as our driving force. The next we have, other than pest analysis, is the changing demographic trends. Now, what is changing the demographic trends? The demographic trends mean the taste of the customer. You have to give respect to the taste of the customer, because the customer is the only king in the market, and you are bound to fulfill whatever they want. So their taste, their trends are those factors which can play like a driving force for you to change the operation of the business. Might be possible you have to change the operation of the business, and in some cases might be possible you have to bring some kind of a change in your product. You have no other options but to welcome all these kind of a things. And these demographic trends change from or varies from area to area. If you are living in Islamabad, you will see different trends. If you are living in Rawalpindi, Lahore, Karachi, whatsoever, but you will see the different trends, different taste of the public. And if we talk about at international level, or if we talk about out of the borders, you will see that how taste or trends of the public different from us. So it doesn't matter you like it or dislike it, you have to change yourself according to the circumstances. So changing pestle or the changing demographic trends are those factors which playing a driving force for your organization. The next driver or driving force we have is outdated machinery. Very similar like a technology, you can't rely on your outdated machinery, especially in the present market. If you want to beat, if you want to take market edge, or if you want to get more competitive edge, you have to update your machinery. If you are someone, especially in that Z generation, that you have to work on, for example, traditional way of doing recording any kind of a transaction on the register, they won't like it, because they are updated generation. If you ask them that you have to work on the Excel, Google Sheets, they would love to do that. Very similar like a generation, you have to change the machinery of your organization. Maybe you may get a scenario in your assignments where the organization is going into loss. You may give a solid reason about their outdated machinery. Once the machinery they buy in, for example, 1980, you can mention and you should mention that their machinery is outdated, because if you are buying machinery in 1980, this should be outdated, and if you are buying in 2020, then we can say that now this is somehow an updated technology we are using in our organization. So outdated machinery is another factor that can allow you, that can force you to go ahead. Another point, we have declining team morale or team morale. Sometimes you work or you follow the old trend of doing your business, your employees may be in a positions to get confused, or to in a positions to, they may get bored because of no change in the daily activities or daily routine of the business. Their confidence level may be declined. So this is another factor that can basically put you in the positions to bring or to welcome the change. So morale of the employees or of the team can put organization in a very serious or in a danger position. That's why the confidence of the team can allow you to go and get and the welcome. Doesn't matter what kind of a change we have. The last one, increase the profit. This is the backbone statement of this model. Why we bring change, why we welcome change, everything is waste if we don't talk about profit. Sometimes organization is not in a position to earn or to get more profit. They bring some changes inside the business just for the sake to get more and more earning from the business. This is like a backbone statement, and this is a universal line in the world of the organizations, especially profitable organizations, that if you are not getting enough profit you were expected, you have no other option but to bring change inside the organization. So pastel are those analysis or changing demographic trends, outdated machinery, declining team morale, and increase the profit are the driving forces for the organization that can allow, that can motivate the organizations to go for some kind of a change. Step 2, resistance. Now what is resistance basically? Resistance is opposite force you will see in front of your driving force. These are those forces which actually resist your driving forces. Number one, we have commitments to existing organization partners. If you are in a position to bring some kind of a change, you have, of course, you have a pattern, you have a structure that you have to take, or you have to bring all the partners on the tables and give them some kind of a confidence that we should go for this kind of a change. And if they do not agree with you, this will be the initial barrier for you to bring the change. Then we have a legislation. As we already discussed in the past analysis, that legislation of the area can oppose you. Do not go for that change. or maybe there is some kind of a change you should and you will welcome, but legislation and the law and the rule of that area is not going to allow you to go for such kind of a change. Then we have obligations from customer. Sometime obligations is like expectations from the customer can hurt your business. You better know the taste, the standard of your customer. That's why you are going to target them. As I told you once, that when McDonald's has decided to operate their business inside the India because of the beef, they were fail over there. Still, you can see that McDonald's is working over there, but they changed their product according to the customer taste. They basically give respect to the taste of their customer. But if still somebody asks them that beef is a major component or major ingredients in your product, you should go for it. No, you can't do that, because if you do that, then certain obligation from the customers can make you loyal or can convert your loyalty of the employee into disloyalty. The next step we have fears of unknown. This is the biggest fear in the human nature. Fear of unknown. And when you know something, you can't say it's become unknown. Some employees, some organization have a very similar kind of a fear like a man, is the fear of unknown. You don't know what will happen next. If we welcome this change, if we update our technology, then what will happen? If Imran Khan is coming in next week, for example, we have to bring some kind of a change, then what will happen? If COVID again is coming, we have to go for some kind of a online structure, what will happen next? What will happen next? It's the biggest fever if you don't have an answer of why or what. So like a human nature, many organizations fear to deal with the question of what will happen next. The next thing we have is the organization structure. Sometimes organization structures become the resistance for you. Like if you are in Pakistan and see the state structure, sometimes employees, not only they don't, but the environment given by the organizations not allow them to go for some kind of a change because of the structure of the organization. Some organization have too much complicated structure, and nobody, and they such kind of a structure do not allow the employees to take some kind of an initiative, or do not encourage them to go for some kind of initiative steps. So the hierarchy of the organization or the structure of the organization sometimes play like a barrier role in front of your change. And the last thing, we have the attitude of the people. The attitude of the people, they are in a very comfort zone, that they don't want to change anything. Like if you talk about the employees of the governments, they are happy the way they are doing their work. If you ask them that you have to do this work in that way, they won't accept your offer. If you see the biggest organization of the government, like railway, if you go there and see how employees are working, you will see still they are utilizing some kind of registers. And if you ask them, please do this work on the Excel, they will put a resign on a very next day if the government asks them to do this. Because the attitude of the people is like that, that they are not in a position, or they just don't want to welcome the change. They not only want to welcome the change in the organization, but in their self as well. If you ask them that it is maybe not important for your organization, but it is important for yourself, still they won't allow, or they won't welcome any kind of a change, because they have a very strict and freezing kind of a attitude, especially in terms of change.